Hi guys, so here we are looking at the Assignment 1 GitHub page. This is my personal repository of my Assignment 1. You should have one like it with your GitHub username to the right of the Assignment 1 abbreviation. Now notice I've come down here and I've clicked on this green button and I've chosen SSH. You can use HTTPS to do the checkout, but I prefer SSH because I can save my keys and store them on GitHub and not have to type in passwords all the time. We'll go over that in class, how to do that if you don't know how to do it already. But I'm going to copy that URL to my clipboard and then pop over here to a terminal window, and just for now in my home directory I'm going to go ahead and clone that. So the command is git clone, and then I'm going to paste in that URL to the GitHub repository, and then I'll hit enter, and that guy is going to go out and fetch that assignment and put it in the directory ASMT01. So on the command line again, I'll cd change directory into that directory. I'll do an ls-la, that means list the directory in long format and show everything. The A means show even files that would otherwise be hidden. So if I just say ls, I get the file names, not including names that begin with a dot. Those are hidden files. But they're, I don't get to see any details like when it was created or how big it is. But if I do an ls-l, now I see the details of those guys, who owns them, how big they are, when they were last touched and modified. If I say ls-la, not only do I get the files without a dot at the front, I also get the files that begin with a dot. So the .git is actually a directory of the local Git repository, and .git ignore is a file that says what file name should Git ignore. Pretty simple. Okay, so what I want to do first, I want to build the Docker image that we're going to use to execute the Typescript on our local computer. So to do that, I'll use the docker command, docker build. I want to give the image a name, so let's just call it assignment 01. And I want to use my current directory as the source of the Docker file. So I'll just say dot, which is shorthand for my current directory. And I'll hit enter, and it's going to go out and build that guy. This is probably going to take a little bit, well, maybe not that long. Looks like it's going pretty fast. So it's creating, yep, it's done. Created the image. I can see the image by saying docker image ls. That means I'm going to list the images in Docker. And notice it's got a image called node, which is the base image, and it's got an image called assignment 1, which is the stuff we added for assignment 1. So let's go ahead and run that image. So I'll say docker run. I'm going to say --rm, which means delete the container after I'm finished with it. I'm going to say it, which means I want an interactive session with a terminal. And let's see, I'm going to say -v $pwd. So -v means I'm going to do a mapping of one directory on the host. The host is, of course, my laptop. The container is the virtual machine that is going to run Typescript in this case. So I'm going to map a directory on my local laptop to a directory in the container's virtual file system. So let's do that. I want to put that in the work directory. And then I'm going to run the image, ASMT01, the image name, and then if I just do that, it'll run the default command, which I think is node, but I want to run a shell, so I'm just going to say sh, which is the shell, the Unix shell within the container. So anyway, type all that, and it comes up with a shell prompt. Notice I'm in the /work directory, which is really a mapped version of my my Mac's local file system. So now I'm in the container, and there are the files. So once I'm in the container, I can run Typescript commands and Node.js command. So I'm gonna say yarn install. That's going to install all the packages we need to build and test these programs. So let's go ahead and let that guy do its thing. Okay, so that's that. Now let's go ahead and run something. How about I happen to know there's a command line interpreter called tsnode that we got as a side effect of installing all that stuff, which is located in the node modules directory. And now I can just type in some TypeScript, so say x equals 3. Oops, it doesn't like that. Oh, because I need to say var x equals 3. Now I can say type of x. It knows that's a number. I can say x plus 2. It knows that's a 5. What if I say x equals hello? That's going to fail because x, it's decided, it's figured out it's a number, and if I try to assign it to a string, it'll say you can't do that because x is a number, the string is not a number, so you fail. What I want to point out is that if I say y equals hello, y is now a string. Oh, I gotta say var y equals hello, and then y, you can see, is I can say what is y? Type of y. It's a string, right? So y dot, if I hit y dot and then hit tab, it's going to show me all the things that it could be. Now notice what these guys mostly are methods of strings. So how about y dot slice? That's a good one. 1, 3. EL. So it took off the H and it took out the LO. It's going from 1 to 3. Good. All of these are basically, oh, split. Y dot split. What do I want to split on? Let's split on L. So it used the L's as delimiters and split the string into a list of substrings, all separated by L. So there, you have an idea. Anyway, if you want to actually test your code, you'd say yarn test. Now the thing is, we haven't edited the programs at all, so there's all kinds of errors, and that's because none of the functions have actually been developed yet. So the first, task 1, it says there's a problem because we declared this variable arg, but we never actually accessed it or used it. Also, the function doesn't return anything, but we set up here that it was going to be a function that returned a string, so that's another problem. Anyway, all these functions have problems because nothing's actually been done. So anyway, that should be enough to get you started. It shows you how to clone the repository, how to get them on your hard disk, how to build the Docker image, how to execute the tests, and also how to play around with the Node TypeScript interpreter. So there you go.